Hi, my name is Selema Masekela. I'll say it for you one more time. Selema Masekela. And you are listening to the What Shapes Us podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, dudes and bros, and all others, wherever you find your identity sitting in the world, welcome to another episode of the What Shapes Us podcast. My name is Selema Masekela, and this is the podcast where I have the distinct honor and privilege of speaking with dynamic, interesting individuals who I've had the chance to get to know somewhat, some of whom I've never met, and I'm just curious about. And so I lure them into this studio to talk about the incidents and accidents that have taken place in their lives that have shaped them into who they are. And today, we are lucky. We are very, very lucky. Blessed. Because a man has traveled all the way across the pond.
Jeez. From
England to discuss with us running and life and how spectacularly horrible my English accent is. My friend Cory Wharton is here today.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
How are you,
sir? I was trying to think about what you do for a living, and it's so many things.
A few things.
You are a man of all of the talents, but running is like your.
Yep.
If you were the lead singer of a band,
wow.
You're the lead. If you're the lead singer of the band, you're like you're Phil Collins in where am I going here?
What is he in Genesis?
Genesis. Yeah. Yes.
It tested my music knowledge.
I was testing your musical knowledge, and also, are you really English?
Yeah. Are you really English?
Are you really English?
I am.
Yeah, your running is the drums for you.
Yes. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
That's your main gig.
Yep.
But you can sing.
Yep.
And you could go be the front man and do all the other things. Yeah. But running is your jam.
Yeah. Like running has been my jam now for, nearly 20 years. Yeah, nearly 20 years, which is crazy.
That's when you start to realize that you're an old person.
Yeah.
When you can refer to anything with
anything.
20 years. Like, I've known this person. I regret saying that I've known people for 20 years.
Why?
Because I just want to be like 15.
No. It shows you're wholesome.
It does. But yeah, it means that we're here and we've lived. But 20 years.
Yeah.
Running has made a difference in your life.
It's made a huge difference. It changed my life completely without even knowing it was doing so.
We'll get into all that. I want to talk about how we met, because I don't remember.
Neither do I, which is the beautiful thing about it. I think that's the beautiful thing about it. We both stumbled across each other. It was like, we know each other. We've met before. Can't remember, but
I know that we met in England.
Yes.
That part I know for a fact. It was in England, amongst cool people.
Yeah, it was amongst cool people, cool stuff, or community, or something to do with charity work or snowboarding. It was somewhere wholesome.
We met in England. We connected. The vibes were high.
Yep.
I know that we were out in some evening spaces together that really cemented
our bond.
You're my people, and vice versa.
Yes.
And then one day, maybe 3 years ago?
Yeah, it was so random. Like, I moved into an apartment. That is what it's referred to as here. And at the
As
bottom,
opposed to a flat?
yeah, flat or a house.
Right.
And at the bottom of that road is a beautiful coffee shop called the Flower Boy. And I used to go in there for coffee. Well, I still do, but I used to go in there every single day. And just one day, I walked in to get my coffee, and you were there. And I was like, hold on, I know this guy. Ah, it's you.
Yeah.
Hey. And
I was like, hey, it's you.
Yeah.
As well.
And that was what was beautiful about it. There were no airs and graces. It was just, it's you. Cool, awesome. What are you doing here? Oh, I live here. I live here too. Hey. And
Yeah, you were like, I'm here now.
Yes.
I'm actually a resident. I'm not a guest visitor.
It was very posh of me. Yeah, I'm here now.
Yeah. And then it was like, good, well, let's pick up from the energy that we had across the pond and be neighborly.
Exactly.
And here we are.
Like, the universe works in very, very mysterious ways, which is why...
It really does.
Yeah.
I turned around in line.
What do you mean?
I remember turning around in line at Flower Boy and being like, oh, hey.
Yeah.
Hey.
Yeah. Because I was like, is this dude going to remember me? I was like, because he's a big deal.
Not.
That's literally in my mind. I was like, he's a really big deal. I wonder if he's going to remember me. I was like,
Not remotely true at all.
No, not at all. It is true. You are a big deal, but you're very, very approachable, which is open.
I am a person who has been doing a certain thing for a long enough time that I'm unavoidable in that some people have been forced to know who I am. You know what I mean? Like, he just is still here.
Yeah.
So by default, we know who he is.
Yes.
It's not like they're clamoring.
What do you mean?
It's not like they're waking up and scrolling to be like, what did he do next? It's just,
I think there are people that do that.
I've just been lucky enough to keep showing up.
Oh, that's beautifully put.
Yeah. And to keep showing up to what I love, which, you know, you are, I think that's what makes us, like, I think that was what really, like, bonded us, was that we both walk in that same energy of, like, can you believe it?
Yes. Every day.
Can you believe it?
Every day.
We get to do
Every day.
what we love.
Every day.
And they haven't caught on that we're just slightly above average.
Yes. We're slightly above average. I do love that, though, because when people say to me, "Oh, like, what's special about you?" I'm like, nothing. And they were like, "No, like, what has brought you here?" And it's that. It's like showing up, being consistent, being nice, and being in the right place at the right time. But you worked really hard to be in that right place at the right time.
Yeah.
So,
for context, we're going to go back. But for context of your present, what do you do for a living?
For a living, at the moment, I am a coach or a trainer for the Apple Fitness Plus.
Big up yourself. Rewind. Selector, what? Say again.
I'm a trainer or coach for the Apple Fitness Plus service.
You know Apple. You know Apple. Them. He works for them folks. The reason why Cory is making the face that he's making is because before we spoke, he said, bruv, look, you don't ask me questions about Apple like that are going to get me in a situation IP-wise or any of these things. It's delicate. And I said, I would never.
That's why I'm...
This conversation will not indict your job that I would never want to jeopardize, because I envy you.
You envy me?
I envy you. I have this idyllic, sort of deeply utopian idea of what it would be like to work at Apple, especially to work at Apple as like a celebrity entertainer, professional trainer. Like, you're the voice of fitness for Apple. You're a person that people show up for themselves for because of you and how you show up on their phone. You give people in your job permission to be like, yes, I can today. Like, that's what you do, and you do it so well.
Thank you very much. Me and another 25 or 26 other wonderful traders.
That they're not here.
Yeah. That is correct. But you know what people like me do? Like, that's nice that you're shining the light on me.
Yeah.
But what about my friends and my team?
Not about them. And I'm sure, honestly, no, all jokes aside, that if I had the other 25 or 26 trainers here, they would say the same thing about you. Mm-hmm. And you're one of those people who's really difficult to be like, thank you.
But thank you. Thank you very much.
You know how I know? Because I'm that guy too.
It's like, it's just how I've been raised, both by my family and my community. It's like, that's great that you've done all of these wonderful things, but who have you brought in? Who have you brought with you?
Right.
What else do you have to show apart from your success? Like, has anybody else been successful because you have helped them? And that's what I'm most proud of. I'm like, yes, we have done this.
What kind of, we live in Los Angeles,
Mm-hmm.
you do now too,
Mm-hmm.
and how people react to sort of celebrity
Mm-hmm.
where you're from,
Mm-hmm.
and how people react to celebrity here in Los Angeles.
Mm-hmm.
It's different.
Very, very different.
So I wonder, because you have a very unique style of almost an intimate, like people feel like they know you.
Yep.
Celebrity.
I'm not a celebrity.
We use the word as a genre
Mm-hmm.
of being known.
Mm-hmm.
What are those interactions like? Like, how do people approach you? I want to know some of the scenarios because it's got to be interesting.
So one scenario that has stuck in my head, it actually happened in London, in Victoria Station. I was getting on a train, but I was running late, and I can't remember what I said, but it was something that I would say in an app, and I was like, "Oh, quick, let's go," or something like that. And someone literally turned around and was like, "I know that voice." It was like, "Are you Coach Cory?" And I was like, "Yeah, I am." And they were like, "Oh my goodness. Like, I listened to you. You've helped me through tough times. When I first started running, I couldn't do this, but now I listen to you and I can do that." And that stuff, that makes my little heart melt, because that's beautiful. Like, someone has listened to your voice and it's inspired them to move their body and create or continue to build a better version of themselves. Like, and yeah, that's really, really nice.
And that's the one that you least ever see coming.
Yeah.
Because physical identity, like, oh, I've seen you is easy.
Mm-hmm.
But like, I know your voice.
Yes.
That's
And
different.
and to be able to pick that out.
Pick that out of a crowd
Yeah.
in the middle of a
Yeah.
bustle. That's cool.
That's really, really nice. And also when people meet you in person, as in whether we are at a store or we're out in the street, people have such beautiful stories about how you've helped them and they've helped someone else. And they will come up to you and treat you like a celebrity. They're like, "Oh, it's you from the app." And I'm like, "Yeah, hi. Like, how are you? What's your name?" Like, let's like move this weird different thing out of the way. I'm exactly the same as you. I'm just someone who tries to wake up in the morning and go for a run. You're doing exactly the same thing. We are the same. And I let's talk about that.
But it really speaks to how important it is just in life for people to have someone who they feel believes in them just enough to make some new choices, or even fractions of a new choice that in turn end up influencing their life. And you prove that is not necessarily, that doesn't need to be here physically. You know what you do, you motivate, and people feel a sense of relationship with you as a result.
And that, for me, was one of the, I guess, hardest things to get used to, as in people meet you, and because of the space that you have shared, whether it's on the internet or in an app, and you're just talking to them or they see you, it's as you said earlier, they really think that, like, not we're friends, but we know each other. It's like, you have seen me at my worst whilst I was running. It would or sometimes people will come up to me and be like, "I hate you, but I love you." Because last week you made me run really, really fast, or you made me run really, really hard. But I was really, really happy because you told me, and then they'll recite stuff that I've said to them in the app, and I was like, this is
wild.
Yeah, this is wild.
Because you go in, you do the thing, you do it with passion, but then when you go home, your partner doesn't care.
No. So Jules actually always says that to me. She always says that to me. Like, she says to me, it's so weird. It's like, it's cool, but it's like, you're just like my husband, or you're Cory, like this Coach Cory.
She's like, don't Coach Cory me.
No, she always says that to me. She always says that to me. But what I say to people is, even though I am Coach Cory, I'm not running around my house going, let's get some vegetables, let's get fruit. Like, not everything is always on 100. So it's also interesting when people meet me completely out of context, and they're like, oh, you're not as hype or like as excitable as you are on the surface. And I was like, no, I said, I can't live my entire life like that.
You would have expired.
Exactly. Yeah, but it's like a gift. Like, it is, like, Jules keeps telling me not to call it a gift because it wasn't given to you. Like, you worked hard for it. But as you said, to be able to do this, like, for a living, to live my life, to get up in the morning, look at the ocean, go to work out with some of the most talented people I've ever worked with. Like, little Cory, if you'd like come to him in a dream and said, right, this will be your life in 20 years, I'd be like, okay, how's that going to happen?
Let's go back. Let's go back 22 years.
Yes. Wow.
If we will.
Yeah.
To your life back across the pond, non-runner.
Oh, yeah.
So how did, give us a little bit of a background on growing up the way you did in England.
So growing up, I was brought up by my gran because my mum went home to Guyana, South America, to work. So I was brought up by my gran predominantly up until it's probably 8 or 9. Lost contact with my dad quite early. Then my mum came back. She was pregnant with my little sister, Janine. Shout out to Janine, who's actually in Zanzibar on safari as we speak.
Yeah, Janine.
So she came back, and then we were in Peckham for a little bit, and then we moved to Sydenham. I went to private school for quite some time, up until like 11, and then I kind of said to my mum, like, I just want to go to a normal school, like this private school. It's not really for me. Really nice people, not my people.
Which, for context, for a black immigrant mum.
Yes. She was grafting.
Who's working her everything off. Yes. For you to have the opportunity.
Yeah.
Who do you think you are?
Yeah. Like, she had 5, like, my gran had a couple jobs. My mum, she had like 5 jobs. My dad, he had 5 jobs. Like, everyone was working.
This private school situation was not privileged.
Yes. No. This was grafting. And my little sister, she went to private school as well. But I didn't realize what a gift it was at that particular time. I was like, I don't want to be here. These aren't my people. I'm getting bullied. The people are really nice. Like, just send me to a normal everyday school. And then I kind of went to the normal everyday school. But because I'd been going to private school, I was incredibly posh. So I was then bullied by the other children for something completely different. Because I went in there, I was like, hi, everyone, Cory here. Yeah. And they were like, who's this brother?
Right.
And that's what...
You came in with airs.
Yes.
You came in with airs you didn't even know you'd earned in private school.
Exactly.
The thing that you were running from had snuck in. Cells.
It had snuck in. So I then went to that school, and all of, like, the homies now, they were like, bruv, why are you talking like that? I was like, what do you mean? Talking like what?
Like what?
I've been with Tarquin the entire weekend. And that's what was... Like, that's my default. So I then started that school, and that's kind of where I met all of my closest friends, like my 2 best friends, old school, Dean and Nick. We've been friends since we were 11. That's like over 30 years of friendship, and we met in that school.
What type of kids? Where were they all from?
So Southeast London. Like, it was a school called Sedge Hill in Southeast London. What was also quite wild about that school was it was smack bang in the middle of... There was a lot of racist stuff going on one side, and a lot of, I guess, not even gang-related stuff, just foolishness on that side. So it was always interesting getting home, like, as a young person.
You had to do some navigating.
Yeah, and that's kind of also where you learn to navigate life.
Because you're being tested by by the rabble rousers and the gangsters, and then you have to deal with like some just straight racist.
So you're sort of dealing with all of that. I did my GCSEs, which are the exams over there. I got 2, maybe 3. As in, I got an A in drama, and a C in something else. And everyone was really, really confused everyone thought I was going to do really well, and I didn't. So I then had to go back and take a bunch of other exams.
How old were you this time?
At that point, I was 16.
Okay.
But I was doing every sport and every outdoor activity the school had to offer. So I was doing canoeing, I was doing kayaking, I was doing whitewater rafting, I was doing rock climbing.
Canoeing.
Yeah, no, but that was
every sport at
canoeing. Yeah. No, but that's what everyone's really confused by. As in, hold on, you were in the inner city and you were canoeing and kayaking.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, we were canoeing, kayaking, learning how to roll, going out.
We're out on the Thames?
Yeah, that nasty water. Nasty water. But yeah.
It's the Thames, by the way, not the Thames.
No, not the Thames.
You heathens. You American heathens.
Oh, my goodness.
It's the Thames.
Exactly, and it's not Leicester Square. It's Leicester Square.
It's Leicester.
Yes.
2 syllables. Don't let all the letters just fool you.
Yeah.
It's just Leicester.
So we were doing dragon boating, canoe polo, like doing all of those things. Rock climbing, abseiling. We did this thing called gorge scrambling. Have you ever gorge scrambled?
No, I've never.
So gorge scrambling is where you put on a wetsuit and a rock climbing helmet, and you basically climb from the base of the river all the way to the top of the waterfall.
Wet?
Yeah. So it's like wetsuit, you got a harness, so you clip in as you're climbing occasionally.
Right.
And then you will like do cannonballs or like bombs off of the top.
Of it.
Yeah.
And you were that kid.
Yeah.
So you were the wildly curious Guyanese black kid.
And it was me and one other black kid. Everybody else was not black.
No wonder.
And all of the homies are like, bruv, where are you going? Why are you in Wales? Like, what are you doing in Wales? It's cold. I was like, yeah, but it's fun.
Yeah.
So then you kind of leave school, you join a youth centre, and then all of that stuff goes away, and you get fat. That was literally what happened to me. I played football, soccer, and yeah, I just got really, really overweight and lost touch with all of the things that I loved, and then you kind of try and navigate life.
And when you say joined a youth center, you went to work at a youth center?
No. As in, so I went to a youth center where you can play pool and snooker.
Right.
So it's like a youth club.
Yeah.
So I went there, like played a bunch of other sports, and then you just fall away.
Yeah.
And that's and that's what happened to me. And after I fell away,
you became stagnant.
Yeah, just stagnant.
Movement-wise.
Yeah, like the belly grew. And then you don't realize how unhappy you are because you're not moving. Like you just think,
and you're in your early 20s.
Yes. So I'm in my early 20s.
And it's really sobering when you're in your early 20s, because I went through a similar thing.
Mm-hmm.
I think I got up to like 230, 240.
Mm-hmm.
But my brain is telling me that I'm still that 16-year-old kid.
Yeah, I can still move.
And I'm athletic. Like in my mind. But like, I'm not. Why are people breezing by me? And then, I don't know about for you, but you come into the actual realization and suddenly you're like,
yeah.
And it turns you, you become a bit of a shut-in. You the opposite of did that happen?
Yeah, that happened to me. And I think it was most sobering when you look at pictures of yourself stood next to people who you've always stood next to, who haven't gone in the same direction that you have. And I remember looking at one picture and I just looked swollen. That was the that was the exact word for it. I just looked swollen. I looked like I had put it looked like someone had put a tube of helium in me, and I was just this. And I was like sat next to a friend of mine, and I was like, oh wow, I'm a big guy. I was like, but when did this happen?
And why didn't anyone tell me?
Well, people make the jokes, but you're like, banter.
Right.
This is funny.
Not
this
like
is jokes.
Love.
Yeah, not love. Not dude. Like let's talk about this. So that happened for a very, very long time. I just put on weight. And in the same time, I wasn't really doing anything from a career perspective. I was just jumping between, like, literally, I was a pizza delivery guy. I was pulling pints in a bar and a club. I worked as a security guard. I worked as someone like a security guard at raves. Like, I did all of these jobs. But then it's funny, as you grow older, you're like, everything is in service. And you don't realize that you're building all of these skills that are essentially going to help you navigate life beautifully, because in all of those positions, you've dealt with everybody.
You are literally in the master's program of human interaction and empathy.
Yeah, that's it.
You talk about it in the book. I don't want to give too much of this book away because it is an incredible read.
Thank you.
I told you that right off the bat when you gave it to me the first time. That first run that you took was not long.
No, I barely got to the bottom of the road. And that's kind of it's not even my through line. That's what I always say to people, because through line makes it sound like it's made up. Like this is...
But it's it's consistent. It's not a through line, but like it is the thing about cliches is that they only become cliches because they've been proven to work, right?
And I just couldn't get to the bottom of the road, and that was always my thing. It was like, just get to the bottom of the road. Just get to the bottom of the road.
And you couldn't get that?
Yeah, I couldn't. I was like...
How long was that distance?
Like 400 meters.
Couldn't run 400
And I was like, how can I...
How old were you at this point?
2000. This was in 2006 or 7. We are now, so that I would have been in my mid-30s.
Wow.
Yeah. I would have been in my... No, hold on.
No,
mid-20s.
Mid-20s.
Yeah, mid-20s. Yeah. So this was like...
Yeah,
mid to late 20s.
Mid to late 20s is also like the weird times.
Yeah.
It's a hard thing.
Like, I couldn't... And I was like, this is...
Couldn't run 500 meters.
How the hell... Like, I was like, how does this hurt this much? Like,
and I just committed to running across the city next year.
I was like, oh my goodness, what have I done here? And I remember returning home and I was like, this is terrible. What am I going to do? I was like, get back out there tomorrow. That's what we're going to do. I was like, because this marathon ain't going to run itself. Like, you've publicly announced, which is also something which I never ever do. I'm a move in silence guy, but I announced this foolishly. But I announced it and like had to get to training. And even though I had done qualifications for like football or table tennis or tennis, I hadn't done anything for running yet. So I didn't know how to train for it. And there wasn't as much information as there is now. So I just kind of made my stuff up and hurt myself quite a lot by doing too much too soon, like buying the incorrect gear, running in the wrong gear, basically making all of the mistakes that I'm glad I made, because if I didn't make them, I wouldn't be sat here, because it was the mistakes that drove me to be better. Like, if I just started running and was amazing, there'd be no story, there'd be no book, there'd be no film.
Yeah. No offense, but I wouldn't have done it.
Exactly. It's like I woke up, I ran fast, the end. Like,
thanks for coming out.
Yeah.
We have some nice prizes for you to finish on.
But
it was immensely hard.
Yeah, it was so hard.
It was devoid of real information.
Yeah.
So it's funny because when you see people running, especially like elite runners or people look like they're elite, you just think to yourself, that's not something that I can even do.
No.
And they must just be born that way. Yeah. So it easily is not for me.
And that's what you think. And it's not until you really dig into it, you're like, they just read some books, worked really hard, and like went for it. And I was like, that's all I have to do. That's all I have to do. Like, all I have to do is get my head down, work really hard, make good decisions. And not everything will be okay. I will have put myself in as best position as I can to succeed. But just like life, you might wake up one day and have a dodgy stomach, and that's the end of your race. And that is what running taught me. It's like, just be ready for whatever happens. And whatever happens, you'll be ready for. Like, that's it.
How long into the running did you regretfully have to admit that your body was craving it? Because it's one thing to be doing it like, I set this goal, I've announced this thing publicly, that's not a thing I do. I'm Cory Wharton, and I'm going to prove to all of you, especially you who have mocked me, right? I'm going to do this thing. But at a certain point, you start to crave this at a spirit level, which I don't think you were anticipating.
No, I wasn't anticipating that, because at that point in time, no one really spoke about that part. People only ever spoke about running as a way to lose weight, a way to get fit. This is great for cardio. This is great. No one in my circle, no one that I read about, or no one ever spoke about the spiritual journey. No one ever spoke about the mental health benefits. No one ever really spoke about the space that running gives you. And I didn't discover all of that stuff until it really hurt, and I was willing to push through that hurt, because you kind of don't really stumble upon it unless you've entered that uncomfortable, like, discomfort phase of running. And when I kind of broke through that barrier, and I always say this to people, like, discomfort is completely different to pain. Like, when you're running, if something's painful, you're like, I need to stop. Like, I'd really appreciate stopping, but I know I can keep going. And if I keep going, I'll keep going. And when I got to that space, and that wasn't probably for... That was a while.
Yeah,
like,
the difference between this sucks and this hurts, and discovering those two things.
Yeah. And I remember the first time I ever properly experienced what I later found out was this runner's high. And it was when I was running through Green Park. It was pouring with rain, and I was at this sweet spot between, like, discomfort and I can do this. And it was like everything opened up. I was like, oh, hello.
You found your spiritual calling.
Yeah. I was like, this is nice. I was like, how did I get here? And then you just kind of run, and then it goes, and you're like, what was that? I said, what? And you sort of run some more and try and experience it again. You were like, it's gone. I need to come back and find that. But I don't know. Yeah. But I don't know how, like, why did that happen? And then you lose it, and you just keep running, and you were like, for that brief moment, I felt at peace. I want to go back to that. And then because you've now found the peace that it can bring you, you now go back out, one in search of that peace, but it's more the rush before the peace. It's like you're running along and you literally feel invincible. Like, you're like, I could run at this pace forever. Like, rain, hail, sleet, snow, tornado, I'll just keep running and I don't care.
Like an autopilot.
Yes. And that's what I was like, okay, I can sit here. I can sit in this pocket and just be free. I need to come back, and I need to tell other people about this.
About, hey, this is going to suck.
Yeah.
But when you get to this place, I find this in many different sports, but you suddenly start engaging in, like, real communion with yourself as a whole. Like, you're doing the thing, but now the manner in which you're able to contemplate your actual existence. And I'm sure the first time you experienced that running, you're like, wait, why am I having these, like, major life conversations with myself in this slow motion thing that's become autopilot for this time, where I'm contemplating me.
And you explain that to people who are like, nonsense. And I was like, okay.
Rubbish.
And they're like, okay. That's exactly what happens, and you just drift off. And the more and more you do it, the more you kind of program yourself to do it. And I'm not saying I can just switch it on and off, but I'm kind of nearly there where I will literally be running, and it's like in the Matrix when they plug Neo and everybody else in. It's like I'm plugged in now. It's like, vroom. It's like, let's go. And I just block everything else out. And like I refer to films a lot. It's like in Minority Report when he's just moving all of those things around. And that's literally what I'm doing in my head as I move. Like I'm filing away problems, like
pre-crime.
Yeah, exactly. Like,
when I get to Leicester, I'm gonna have to break into this house. A woman's gonna be killed.
Yeah, like, and that's literally what it's like. Like, I will go out with a problem to solve. Like, I'll go out specifically to create something, or there are some times where I'll just go out for a run for no reason whatsoever other than the road has called me. Like, I just feel a certain angst. Or
I got to work through something.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is, but I'm compelled to move.
Yes.
I'm going to go out there.
Yeah.
And I find out.
Yeah. And I don't know how long I'm going for. Don't know where I'm running. I'm just moving. And then you sort of come back here like, I feel better now.
Most adults look at these type of things, like something like running, as more of a chore.
Yeah.
And what I feel like from your book and getting to know you and listening to your story, you suddenly are like, oh, this is play.
Yeah. That's literally it. Like, people used to say to me, oh, when do you prefer to run? I was like, oh, in the evening. They were like, why? Like, I just want to get it out of the way. And I went, that's the difference. I said, this is not everyone, by the way, who runs in the morning. This is just the people I'm talking to.
I feel attacked.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm no longer watching the rest of this. Yeah.
As in, I would say to people, you want to get it out of the way, I look forward to it. I look forward to this all day. Like, all day, I'm like, I get to run with my friends, with my people. How exciting.
Play.
And then I get to go and eat. This is just play. This is discovery. And that's what I learned there, because anyone who was there during the time that I was there, they will tell you the change that I went through. Because when I first arrived, I used to sit right at the top, no smile. I'd just be like this. Proper unapproachable black youth from Southeast London. Like, I would clap when I was supposed to clap.
I'm here because I need to be.
Yeah.
Not because I want to be.
And as time
I'm not
passed,
buying into your vibes thing.
Yeah. And as time passed, it completely changed me, because I was now meeting people, first and foremost, that I had never met in my life. I was like, what do you mean? They were like, oh, like, what do you do for a job? And they were like, oh, I'm an innovator. What are you talking about? What is that? What do you mean you're an innovator? You get paid for that. You look after your kids and you have a house as an innovator. Or I would meet people and they were like, yeah, like, I'm a photographer. And I was like, what do you mean? I was like, you just take pictures and stuff and you get paid. You can look after your house and you've got a yacht and you're holidaying. I met all of these creative people and I was like, this is a world I did not know about. And this is no disrespect to any world that exists. But this world, I was like, there are all of these people who just appear to be wafting around, not really doing much, but everyone's getting paid. I'm in the wrong job. That was literally the process that I went through. I said, because all of these people, they're different. Like, I don't know what it is about them, but I want like a piece of this. And I don't know how, but I'm just going to come here. I'm just going to soak up all of this. It's like, what do you do? I'm a candle maker. Wow. Like, or you'd meet a nurse, or you'd meet a school teacher, or you'd meet someone who didn't have a job and was just living life. Like, once again, like, you're just kind of parachuted into this social experiment that you don't even know is going on.
The system has really fooled us into believing that, like, if you're not working the hardest all the time, and thinking about what tomorrow is from that perspective of preservation, sustenance, and work, you're actually a loser. And play is a luxury. only for the people, ironically, who have succeeded.
Yes.
At the thing that, like, at getting to the top of some mountain that no one gets to.
Mm-hmm.
But we get fooled into thinking that that is the thing. And people are so exhausted that they're like, play, why?
Because so many of my friends who, as they like to refer to it, as live in the real world because they've got real jobs as like accountants or clerks or doctors or nurses. They're like, what is your job even? And I was like, what? I'm like, what do you mean, what is my job? They're like, you just fly around the world and run. I was like, yeah. And they were like, that's not a job. And I was like, that's a job. And they were like, but you've just made that up. I said, exactly. Yeah. I said, I have literally made this job up. Me and my friends have literally made this job up.
People always ask me, they're like, you know, kids will say to me, how do I get to do what you do? I'll be like, you don't.
That's a beautiful answer.
Not to be a not to be like, because you don't.
Mm-hmm.
Because I don't have what you have to give.
Mm-hmm.
You get to do
what you get.
You get to do it in your way and know that no one else can do that.
Mm-hmm.
And in a world that is constantly telling you that you need to mimic this or embody this one or chase this, like, that's the only thing that remains a constant in on a planet with multi-billions of us. This is like unique markers, and we all have something incredible that is only ours, cannot be duplicated. No offense to AI, but it can't be replicated. That is what you have to give, and I think you stand in that, not knowing what it's going to be tomorrow. You know, your story is such a great example of, like, I don't know what it's going to be tomorrow. I know what it is today and what it's been yesterday, and I'm sure that you have days where the terrors come up where you're like, huh? What's it going to be next week?
No, I do. Like, and I speak to people about that stuff, and they're like, but you're in this position or you're in this place where you get to do this, and the other. And I was like, yeah, but I know there's more.
Yeah.
I know there's more. So of course I'm not waiting for the more to come. It's more, I know this isn't done. I know we're not wrapped. I know that this is not the final stop for me. And I'm not going anywhere. I'm not leaving. I'm here. I'm committed to what I'm doing. I'm just saying I won't die in Los Angeles doing what I'm doing. Like, I want to keep growing. I want to keep doing stuff because, like, it's a weird way to say it, but this is just how I look at stuff. Like, what am I doing if I'm not changing stuff, if I'm not creating stuff? And that's what I hang my hat on. It's more, I'll get bored, and I don't like being bored, so I need to keep creating. Like, I need to keep, like, doing stuff. Like, I need to keep, and I hate using the term helping people because it makes it sound like you think you're a goody two-shoes, and it's not that. Like, I just want to see more of us. It's not even doing what we do. I want to see more of us find themselves and acknowledge that they are in charge of their own destiny. If only they could see it.
Be continued.
Yes.
More steps.
Yes, more steps.
More steps. Cory, thank you, brother.
No, thank you. That was beautiful.
I knew this was going to be fun. I knew once we sat down it would be on, but beyond anything I could have wished for.
Thank you.
Again, the book is, I've always wanted to do this.
No, please.
Again, the book is called All You Need is Rhythm and Grit by Cory Wharton-Malcolm. Available at Apple. Also Amazon. But Apple first. And all of your favorite bookstores. Please go out and buy one for your friends, for your mom, for your dad, for your brothers.
For everyone.
For everyone. And we look forward to what's next. we have to go on an actual run together.
Oh, yeah.
We haven't run together.
Definitely.
We have a plan for a run on the 5th, but let's go for a run.
Let's do it. Let's do it. Thank you.
Bro.